Welcome to the Nottingham Clinical Research Podcast from the Research and Innovation team at Nottingham University Hospitals NHS Trust and the NIHR Nottingham Biomedical Research Centre. One of the fundamentals of clinical research is the blind bit of the double-blind placebo-controlled trial. If neither the researcher nor the participant know whether they're getting placebo or the drug, it removes the chances that they're unconsciously responding in the way that they think they should. And the placebo effect can account for up to 30% of a difference, so it has to be taken seriously. But if you're trialling a therapy where the patient will know what's going on, like exercise for rehab, for example, it can't be blinded. So how do you get round that? We spoke to clinical research physiotherapist Paul Matthews about the challenges he'd faced when he was studying exercise as part of rehab for broken ankles.
So the major problem with ankle fracture research is that people come out of casts at 6 weeks, they've got no muscles working, the foot's still swollen, it's very painful and very, very stiff. They take the cast off and the orthopaedic consultant says, start walking. We'll send you to physio, and we just have this limb that's very, very difficult to start moving, and a patient very reluctant to do anything because they've been told since they fractured it, don't move it, don't put any weight on it, don't move it, etc. So we looked at doing a study where at 2 weeks when they come in, they have the cast taken off that was put on in theatre, they check the wounds, take out any stitches, and normally they go back in another cast and come back 4 weeks later, so at week 6. So what we did was at week 2, we put them into a removable cast and started doing very, very simple exercises at that stage. They weren't allowed to walk on it because that is our standard at the moment, although it may change. But what it meant is that the patients had confidence to start moving their foot. And I think that was the primary thing. They really had confidence in moving it. It wasn't stiff, it wasn't painful. And at 6 weeks, they could actually start rehab.
The patients were given questionnaires about the effects of the treatment.
So the questionnaires were function and symptoms. So it was a questionnaire that combines the two. So it included things like pain whilst walking, swelling, being able to do stairs, being able to squat down, and being able to return to work. Those were the primary things. So it was a mixture between symptoms and function.
And it brought particular challenges for the methodology.
The actual intervention was exercise versus standard care that was effectively in a cast and not moving. So it wasn't a new intervention. The difference was, when do we apply the intervention? And that's really the primary difference in the method. It was a randomized control trial. It was unblinded because it's very difficult to blind a patient whether they're having exercise or not. The follow-ups were, the follow-up data collection was primarily a questionnaire with the primary outcome being at 12 weeks. So we stopped seeing them at 6 weeks. So there was a 6-week period. So we were hopeful that although it was unblinded, that there'd be like a washout from the intervention period of wanting to please, which is always a problem.
It's not just design. How patients naturally react when their expectations are met or not also plays a part.
What we always have with these trials is that the people who volunteer to be part of the study are people who hear about it, it's extra physio or not. They're obviously very enthused about the physio. Therefore, you're going to have this bias included because the people who then go, yes, I want to be part of the study, great, I've got the intervention, versus I want to be part of the study because I like physio and, oh, I've got the standard, have I? So you can already start seeing how we've got a biased point of view of it. And also, we end up with a select group of people. And we always, it's voluntary to enter a trial, therefore you only get those type of people who want to be part of a trial. So we're not actually getting the proper population. We assume it's an accurate population. It's probably not. The difficulty with the trial is that they came back at week 2 and at week 6, and we saw them 3 times in between. We had quite a lot of people decline entering the study, and we're very specific. It was because the burden of coming in. There could have been the excuse they just didn't want to be involved in studies or didn't want to do the paperwork, but that's one thing. Quite a few people sort of mentioned that.
As with all research, there are things to be learned for the future.
So we are looking at seeing whether we can do this by video links, because you think pre-COVID, if you wanted to do any type of video link, boy, the amount of hoops you'd have had to jump through to be able to achieve that. And everything changed. And now we've got doctor as being the standard way, and we're being pushed to do more and more by virtual. So I'm going to do a study, as a pump priming study. This one is how acceptable it is, and it's a sort of 9-point questionnaire, etc. And you can also use exactly the same framework to do qualitative as well. So it's quantitative and qualitative within the same sphere, which is really quite nice. So the idea of that one would be, is it actually acceptable? Do you think it's acceptable for us at week 2, when you've got this cast just taken off and changed, to go, there you are, there's a boot, go home, do some exercises? Because for some people, it may be just totally out so far out, they ain't going to do it, and they just don't think it's a good thing to do.
And there are ways to make sure the treatment is matched to the likely patient group, to make sure the shoe fits, as it were.
The intervention, as such, will be, here's some exercises on a sheet of paper with video links. So they will have the video links, they'll see somebody doing the exercises. Again, it's important to actually almost get a patient doing the videos. Or we end up classically on the physio, it's a 25 to 28-year-old female physio doing the exercises, or a male one who spends most of his time in the gym anyway. And then we're giving this to Mrs. Jones, who's 65 years old. And it just, we just don't get that translation. So that's the idea with the videos. And then what I'll do is we will do a video link, and it'll be like a half-hour treatment session by video, doctor, and then going through any problems, troubleshooting, and encouraging them to continue with the exercises. I still would figure that what we will end up with is treating a subgroup of the population. It may be 20%, it might be 80% of the population. We do know people's use of technology has changed dramatically since COVID. So just hopefully the ease of using it is all improving, etc. So hopefully it will be more adoptable than what it would have been 8 years ago.
And that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. You can find out more information about research and innovation at Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust on our website, which is www.nuh.nhs.uk/research, and our email and social media links are there too. If you want to stay up to date with the Clinical Research Podcast, you can subscribe wherever you normally get your podcasts, and most episodes are posted on our YouTube channel, which is Nottingham Clinical Research.